What's up guys, I'm BTC. Yesterday Blizzard had a live stream that showed the design process of one of Hammond's legendaries, but they also showed a bunch of other really cool stuff, concept ideas for other potential heroes. By now, I'm sure most of you guys have seen all of the new Hammond stuff. The skins, the emotes, voice lines, all that. If you haven't, there's a video I posted on my channel yesterday. It's got everything, so you can go and check it out. But in this video, I want to talk about the other stuff that they mentioned during that live stream that they had yesterday. Because they showed the art process from pretty much start to finish on one of Hammond's legendaries, and it's pretty neat to see it go from just a general concept and line art, then get colored in and rendered and all that sort of stuff. But there was also some other cool stuff, so let's check that out. So way back in the very beginning of the game's development, they asked themselves a question: can they add a cute character to the game, or is it going to basically ruin everything? Because when you talk about science fiction environments like Overwatch, basically it's not magic or anything like that. Everything in the game is somehow linked to a science or a plausible type thing. Even though some of it is, a little bit far-reaching, it's all kind of based in, well, it could happen if technology kind of advanced enough. So they wanted to keep this kind of grounded environment, but at the same time, they asked, again, can they have a cute character? So they came up with this right here, and this was a bunch of the different ideas that they had for a potential cute character. Number 2 apparently was pretty popular. It's a robotic monkey with a bazooka, but they ended up not going with it, and they threw out some other designs as well. So then you have this image here, which is more of a jetpack version of it. And of course, this inevitably led to the famous jetpack cat, and they actually talked about this very, very briefly, so let me play that for you.
And the story is that this ideation process led us to one of the favorite ideas out there, which is jetpack cat. So that track kind of led us to jetpack cat.
Wait. Are we still doing that?
We'll see about jetpack cat.
I do think it's a little bit funny. The whole jetpack cat thing reminds me of Pandora's Box, where Jeff Kaplan kind of opened it by mentioning it at BlizzCon. Had he never said anything, nobody would have even known it existed, and nobody would be asking for it. But as soon as he mentioned it, as soon as they showed this image off, all of a sudden you have a ton of people now asking for it. Now, what they're saying here sounds like they're a little bit more open to the idea. Yeah, they're joking around, of course, but they just added a hyper-intelligent hamster from the moon. So it's entirely possible that they're open to adding more kind of sillier characters or more cute characters. And the fact that Hammond has, for the most part, been overwhelmingly positively received, I think it's likely that they're going to do more stuff like that. But let's continue on. They also showed off this image, which is early concept art of Junkrat. So you can see there's a bunch of different versions that they had, and he had the crazy hair in some of them as well, and eventually this would change into the Junkrat we have now. But if you look at the one on the top right, number 3, they kind of took that and they said, you know what, this also might be a pretty cool idea for a character. They basically just called him Ball Guy for a while there. They said, he could be in this kind of mech form, walking around, and then he could turn into a ball and roll around on the ground or maybe stick to floors. They also had a bunch of magnetism type stuff as ability concepts for this character as well. But ultimately, they decided that there just wasn't any good backstory, no good lore, nothing interesting that they could make about this. It was just a mech that was a ball, and that was it. So they kind of shelved it and put it off to the side. Later on, they kind of revisited it though, and they said, you know what, maybe we can combine the kind of cute thing with the ball guy idea, and they ended up coming up with this image right here, which is one of the first for Hammond. But there was still some problems. While this was more interesting than just the ball guy, making the hamster a robot took away a lot of the cute factor, so they said, alright, well, we're going to make the hamster an actual living hamster. And then they had this image right here, so they were trying to find the size and the proportions and the height of the actual hamster that was going to be in the game. They knew it had to be a lot bigger than a real hamster, so they kind of explained that away with all the genetic testing and this and that. And they used Tracer's height as kind of like the guideline. And the way that they explained it is they ended up picking basically the bottom left and the bottom right one kind of at the same time and merged them a little bit, and that's kind of where we get Hammond. And also, the coloring for Hammond comes from one of the hamsters that was actually a pet of one of the artists. And this is what that looks like right here. And finally, we ended up with this image right here, which is the final concept for Hammond in his mech. So Hammond started as a question: can they add a cute character? They tried a bunch of different stuff, it didn't really work out, but it did give us the majesty that is Jetpack Cat as a concept. And then, of course, the early ideas for Junkrat, one of those ended up turning into the mech ball guy, and then that was turned into a robotic hamster in a mech, and then finally the Hammond in the Wrecking Ball mech that we have now. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little recap, the making of Hammond. What do you think of the character? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links for that stuff are down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.